Hi girls and boys, I have this wonderful book, a National Geographic book about bugs. There is a lot of information in here, so I'm going to pick and choose some of my favorites. First, I'm going to start out with just reading some general information about insects and bugs. What is a bug? The word bug can mean any creepy crawly creature, from a spider or worm to an insect, such as a bee or a cricket. Animals include mammals, birds, reptiles, amphibians, fish, and invertebrates. Invertebrates are animals that do not have a backbone. Bugs are invertebrates. Insects are the largest group of invertebrates. Most of this book is about insects. The last chapter is about other kinds of creepy crawlies. An insect usually has 6 legs that are jointed or can bend. Every insect has 3 main body parts: a head, a thorax, and an abdomen. An insect has 2 antennae, body parts on its head that the insect uses to smell or feel. Some insects even hear with them. Most insects hatch from eggs. Some kinds, such as butterflies, do not look at all like their parents when they hatch. These insects go through big changes called metamorphosis before they look like an adult. Other kinds of insects, such as grasshoppers, look like tiny copies of their parents as soon as they hatch from their eggs. The change these insects go through as they get bigger is called incomplete metamorphosis. There are more than 1 million different species or kinds of insects. Some insects live alone, others live together and are called social insects. In this chapter, we're going to read about a few social insects. The leafcutter ant. These busy ants grow food like farmers do. A large group of ants called a colony lives in an underground nest. Each leafcutter ant has a job to do, and each ant is the right size for its job. One leafcutter ant colony can have 10 million workers. A leafcutter ant can lift something that is 50 times its weight. That would be like you lifting 2 big motorcycles. All species of ants are social insects. An ant colony has a queen. She is the only ant that lays eggs. A colony also has a few males. They are smaller than the queen. The adult queen and the males are the only ants in the colony that grow wings. Most of the rest of the colony's ants are workers. They are females. Workers are smaller than the soldier ants that guard the colony. There are about 20,000 species of ants. Media and maxima workers have strong jaws. They cut pieces of leaves from plants and carry them back into the nest. The tiniest workers are called minima workers. They take care of the garden, where the ants grow their food called fungus. Fungus grows on the pieces of leaves that the medias and maximas bring into the nest. Army ant. Huge groups of these ants march together through the rainforest. A big group of army ants move through the rainforest, and they collect insects and other small creatures to eat. The ants march for 15 days at a time. Then they make a nest made entirely of ants themselves. Sometimes the army ants cannot get across a space without a bridge. Some of the ants make a living bridge. These ants hang on to each other while other ants crawl over them. One colony may have as many as 2 million ants. So many army ants move through the rainforest at once that you can hear them marching. Ants live in many places on Earth. Most ants are red or black. Here are just a few of the more than 20,000 species of ants. The jumping ant, which lives in India and can jump across this open book in just 5 leaps. Little black ants are common in the United States. They make nests in dirt outside, but they may come into people's houses looking for food. Crazy ants got their name from the way they behave. They run fast all over the place, rather than in a straight line. Bulldog ants are big, have large jaws, and live in Australia. Weaver ants live in leafy nests they make in trees. They live in Australia and Asia. Another social insect is the honeybee. Honey comes from honeybees. The bees make honey from nectar, a sweet liquid that they find inside flowers. A worker bee sips nectar from flowers. She carries the nectar back to her hive. The honeybee spits out the nectar to fill the honeycomb cells. By now, the nectar has started to change to honey. The bees store the honey to eat and to feed their larvae. People use honey collected from beehives to sweeten food. As a honeybee collects nectar, she flies from flower to flower. Bits of pollen, a powder in flowers that helps make seeds, sticks to her body. The honeybee pushes some of the pollen into special bags on her legs called pollen baskets. It is food for hungry larvae back in the hive. The honeybee visits other flowers where some pollen falls off her body. This is how bees help plants make fruit and seeds so that new plants grow. Bees are important pollinators, animals that carry pollen from plant to plant. A worker honeybee has a stinger inside the end of her body. She uses it to protect the hive from enemies and can only sting one time. And if you'll look at the illustration, you'll see the little pollen baskets on the honeybee's leg. Honeybees help many plants grow. Watermelons, cucumbers, and strawberries all need honeybee pollinators. There are 3 kinds of bees in each beehive. The queen, which lays the eggs, the drones, which are the males, and the workers, which are the females that do the work. The worker has longer wings than the drones, and the queen is longer and slimmer than the workers. The drone has a bigger abdomen and big eyes. And in this photo, you will see all the cells in the hive. The honeybee is one of 20,000 different species of bees. Here are just a few other kinds of bees. The neon cuckoo bee sneaks into another kind of bee's nest to lay its eggs there. The fuzzy buff-tailed bumblebee has long, soft hair. The eastern carpenter bee is a large bee. It makes its nest in wood. The orchid bee is shiny green. Sweat bees can be annoying to humans and other animals because they like to drink sweat. The sugar bag bee from Australia doesn't sting. I'm skipping a little bit, and I'm going to read a little bit about beetles. Beetles make up the biggest group of insects. Almost half of all the insect species are beetles. There are 400,000 kinds of beetles that scientists have found and named. There may be millions that have not been found yet. Most beetles have 2 pairs of wings. The front pair of wings is called the elytra. The elytra are like a shell. They protect the rest of the beetle's body, including its other pair of wings. Most other insects do not have this protection. Beetles live everywhere except in the ocean and around the North and South poles. The 7-spotted ladybug. Ladybugs are beetles. Farmers like the 7-spotted ladybugs because they eat aphids. Aphids are insects that eat crops, the plants that farmers grow. A ladybug lays her eggs near aphids or other plant-eating insects. When the larvae hatch, they start eating the aphids around them. Ladybugs are also called lady beetles and ladybird beetles. When attacked by a predator such as a bird, a ladybug releases a liquid that tastes bad. The next time that a bird goes after a ladybug, the insect's bright color is a reminder, leave me alone, I taste bad. There are about 5,000 species of ladybugs. Many are red with black spots. Others are yellow or orange, and some have no spots. Here are just a few. The Halloween lady beetle sometimes sneaks inside people's houses to stay warm in the winter. There are a few species of ladybugs that eat crops instead of pesky insects. This Mexican bean beetle is one. The yellow-shouldered ladybird lives in Australia and New Zealand. The large leaf-eating ladybird eats the leaves of some crops such as tomatoes and potatoes. Transverse ladybirds eat many different insects that attack farmers' crops. The 2-spotted ladybird has 1 spot on each red elytron. The common eastern firefly. This insect makes its own light. The common eastern firefly is the one that you are most likely to see in the United States. You may see fireflies flashing their lights on summer evenings after dinner and before bedtime. This insect, also called a lightning bug, uses light to talk to other fireflies. It makes the special light called bioluminescence inside its body. The end of its abdomen can light up. When a male firefly wants to find a female firefly, he flies near the ground while he flashes his light every 6 seconds. On the ground, a female knows that the male is the same species that she is. She answers his flashing by turning on her light. There are about 2,000 different species of fireflies. All right, I'm going to skip to the chapter called Fantastic Flyers. Most butterflies fly around during the day. Most moths fly at night. Butterflies have knobs on the ends of their two antennae. Moth antennae have no knobs, and some are shaped like feathers. The scales on the wings of butterflies and moths reflect light in different directions, like lots of tiny mirrors. That gives the insects their many colors. Let's take a closer look at a few butterflies and moths. The blue Morpho butterfly. Bright blue and big, this is one of the largest butterflies. As it flies through the rainforest, the Morpho flaps its wings up and down. Bright blue colors show as the butterfly's wings flap down. The blue almost disappears when its wings flap up. That is because the undersides of its wings are brownish. Rotting fruit makes a yummy meal for a Morpho. The butterfly unrolls its proboscis, a mouth part that is a long hollow tube. It uses it like a straw to sip juice from the fruit. The Morpho's entire life lasts only about 115 days. There are about 20,000 species of butterflies. Male and female butterflies often look different. Here are a few examples along with their caterpillars. So you're going to see a Raja Brooks birdwing butterfly, the male, the female, and the caterpillar, and an Adonis blue, and an orange branded shoemaker. The Isabella tiger moth. The woolly bear caterpillar turns into this moth. Tiger moth caterpillars, also called woolly bears, are more famous than the moths they turn into. Woolly bears are commonly seen in the fall. They are fuzzy, black at each end, and brown in the middle. The adult moth lives 4 to 5 days. This amazing caterpillar freezes all the way through its body during cold winters. In the spring, it thaws and is still alive. It has a special kind of antifreeze in its body that keeps it alive. The Isabella tiger moth is active at night when it flies around looking for a mate. There are about 160,000 species of moths. Here are a few of the world's moths. The elephant hawk moth feeds at night, sipping nectar from honeysuckle and other flowers. The comet moth is called the Madagascan moon moth. The atlas moth is one of the largest moth species. It can grow so big it would almost cover this book. The Morgan sphinx moth drinks nectar deep inside flowers called orchids. It uses its very long proboscis to reach inside. There's so many good insects, but I'm going to skip and just go to a couple more. It's hard to pick. I think I'll read the praying mantis. Mantises can turn their heads to look behind them. No other insect can turn its head around like a mantis. A praying mantis can look behind without turning its body. It just turns its head. A praying mantis gets its food by staying still. Its green body blends in with the green plants around it, keeping it hidden. The praying mantis looks like it is praying when it is sitting still. It holds its front legs in front of its body. When a cricket or other insect comes by, the hidden mantis grabs it with its front legs. The legs are spiky, making it hard for its prey to squirm away. A mantis lives for about 1 year. Praying mantises help farmers by eating insects that eat their crops. There are more than 2,300 species of mantises around the world. Here are a few of them. The conehead mantis. This mantis has a crest on its head that gives it the name conehead. The Malaysian orchid mantis. Holding still on a flower called an orchid, this mantis hides by looking like it is part of the flower. The spiny flower mantis. To scare away attackers, the flower mantis rears up suddenly to look like a bigger insect with 2 huge eyes. And the dead leaf mantis. To hide, this mantis pretends it is a dead leaf. It even rocks back and forth slowly as if the wind is blowing it. All right, let's read one last one. The southern hawker dragonfly. Dragonflies can catch insects in midair with their legs. Southern hawkers fly over water searching for small insects to eat. They spend a lot of time near ponds and streams. Dragonflies cannot walk well on land, but they are excellent flyers. They have 2 pairs of wings. They can fly forward, backward, and sideways, and even hover in one spot. A dragonfly can eat hundreds of mosquitoes in one day. There are more than 5,000 species of dragonflies. Dragonflies sometimes eat while they are flying. Other times they land on a plant to eat. All right, I'll stop there. I wish I could go on. There's so many great insects to read about, but hope you learned a few facts about some of our insects.